Now this is Julimia Awareness Consultancy in Molela. Theta is in Juja is in Kiambu in Central Province. This is in Kenya, East Africa. We continue with the substance abusing family. And as we talk about substance abuse, we are talking talking about substance abuse. We are talking about families who take hardy drugs like cocaine, heroins, opium, hallucinogens. All those are hardy drugs. They are not comparable to alcohol. Their effects are very strong to a person. Let's talk about them with their families. Substance abuse typically begins in adolescence when tendency towards risk-taking behaviors occur and the movements towards independence increases reliance on the peer group. Chas's quest for the independence and separations from the family is appropriate for the adolescent stage of psychosocial development. As in other stages of transitions in family life, the changes of one family member precipitate an imbalance in the family system, thereby initiating reciprocal allowance of some independence by the parents. Ideally, the parents will find a balance between maintaining complete authority of the adolescents and abdicating authority altogether. Most substance abusers are enhanced, that is, closely tied to the families that raised them. Multiple studies, that is where you can see a child of 30, 40s are still living with their mothers and father. They are unable to move out from there where they were reared to go and stay alone. Most substance abusers are enhanced, that is closely tied to their families that raised them. Multiple studies replicate in England, Italy, Puerto Rico, and Thailand have found that adults addicts and substance abusers are much more likely to live with their parents than their non-abusing cohorts. Different actions of the child during adolescence causes crisis in the enhanced family, and the interactive pattern involving drugs may cause rebelling against inappropriately rigid family boundaries. The adolescents may experiment with drugs, which in turn unites the family in attempting to help the drug user. Clinicians have noted, however, that when the substance abuser stops using, a family crisis often erupts, such as marital problems or the acting out of sibling. Sometimes when a person takes time while in substance abuse and then he opts to stop it, you see, because of that time he was taking those substances, there are some family members who were taking advantage of him. Like, for instance, a working person who was taking addicts comes home at the end of the month, might be the wife can go back and took all the money which the addicts have earned as a salary the whole of that month. So that time she tries to move out from drugs. You see, most of them, they are not happy. This brings the former substance abuser. Finally, clinicians have noted, however, that when the substance abuser stops using, a familiar crisis often erupts, such as marital problems or the acting out of siblings. This brings the former substance abuser, finally capable of leaving home, back into the nest where the drugs abuse is resumed. Thus, the substance abuse provides a dependency in the user that maintains the rigid family boundaries and preserves the domestic balance of the family, and the substance abuser becomes the symptom bearer for the family. The addict, in effect, provides the family with the solution of pseudo-diffusions, a paradoxical resolution to their dilemma of maintaining or dissolving the family by seeming to be dependent, but in reality remaining dependent on their family to meet the addicts and the family needs. God help. We come to case studies. In case 2, Joe and Jane. Sarah is reflecting the replication of the abusive and conflicted homes of her mother and stepfather, and is making movement to leave home at an early age. The family enmeshed, typical of substance abusing family. How can she successfully individuate from the family? In case 3, Lay's rebellion served to distract her mother and father from their fighting and to unite them as they attempt to control her behavior. It also served to help solve the dilemma of whether she should leave home, leaving her mother alone. She distances herself by using drugs and alcohol, but cannot really leave home and her mother because of her irresponsible behavior. Her brother has the role of doing well in the family, being responsible, while the parents are in conflict. Through the use of their laws, the estranged family continues to function, albeit less than satisfactorily. Families with substance abuse are frequently dysfunctional, placing children at the risk of becoming substance abusers themselves. The quality of parenting suffers, and the child may experience parental neglect and emotional and physical abuse. In the presence of parental substance and alcohol abuse, contact with neighbors and others may deteriorate, allowing the family to become more socially isolated. The child is more reluctant to bring others into the home, where they might see the abusive behavior of the parent. In the presence of deteriorating parenting, the family system becomes more closed, exacerbating the effect of the neglect and abuse for the child. In case 2, Joe and Jane. Jane experienced multiple stressors in her childhood home. Her mother was an abusive alcoholic, and she was abusive by both her mother and elder brother. The current home environment is one of conflict, particularly between Joe and Sarah. When the level of stress in the family increases, so does the level of alcohol and drug use. This, in turn, increases stress, creating a circular pattern. We come to resiliency. Many who grow up in a family in which substance abuse is present become well-adjusted adults. What then makes one child in a home vulnerable to the dysfunctions that may be present while another may not be? Resiliency or development of protective factors seem to be important in determining who will survive in a dysfunctional, substance abusing family and who will not. Factors that increase resiliency are, are those such as high level of family functioning, commitment to school, social support, and personality factors in the child. There are differences in the depth of psychological trauma within alcoholic families. For example, members of the family in which the father is a happy drunk will probably suffer less than those in which the father is violent when drunk. In individuals' resilience to psychological trauma may also play a part in the adult health of the person who grew up in a substance abusing or other dysfunctional family. Some individuals seem to use the challenge of the dysfunctional situation to learn more adaptive skills, becoming more resilient to psychological stress, emphasizes the presence of spirituality as a source of protections against the onset of use of substances in adolescence and in providing psychological resiliency in the presence of substance abuse. Better family functioning is associated with better adjustment in high-risk adolescents and is particularly important in families with economic disadvantage who may be without material and other resources. The importance of parental influence on resistance to substance abuse cannot be overemphasized. The National Center on Addiction and Substance Abuse at Columbia University, 1999, reports that children growing up in families headed by a single mother who have an excellent relations with her were found to be at a 62% lower risk for abusing substances than children in two-parent households in which children have a poor or fair relationship with their father. Children who live in two-parent families who have a positive relationship with both parents are lowest risk for substance abuse. Family issues also seem to affect the transmissions of intergenerationally. Alcoholism intergenerationally. Ratios in which heavy use of alcohol plays an important role are often recreated from one generation to another. Several studies have also suggested that meeting the needs of the alcoholic family member rather than continuing with the ratio in frequently associated with the development of alcoholism in the children. Conversely, ignoring the behavior of the alcoholic member and continuing with the family ratios appears to interfere with the replications of the alcoholic behavior. In other words, deliberateness in choosing the structures of ratios in ignoring certain behaviors of the alcoholic become protective factors that children of a family who continued with plans to go on a Saturday picnic Leaving daddy home drunk would have less likelihood of developing alcoholism than those in the family that would cancel the picnics to stay home to care for dad. Strengths and limitations of system theory. Strength. System theories identify relationships that act as underlying factors in maintaining maladaptive behavior, making it more amenable to change. Sociological forces and relationships that influence the development and maintenance of addictions are considered. The dysfunctional parenting that may precipitate the intergenerational transmission of alcoholism and other substance abuse can be assessed and addressed in treatment. Limitation. Although descriptive of the interactions of individuals within a home with a substance abusers, system theory does not provide an empirically based cause for substance abuse. There is conflicting research concerning the intergenerational transmission of substance abuse. In those studies, finding intergenerational transmission of substance abuse, it is difficult to separate the effect of living in a dysfunctional home from the effect to living in the presence of substance abuse. The model for adolescent individuation is an immersement with the family is not appropriate to all ethnic groups. Then we come to summary. The intergenerational transmission of alcoholism and substance abuse has long been observed. Whether this effect is due to the presence of substance abuse in the family or results from living in dysfunctional family with inadequate parenting remains controversial. System theory describes the structure and interaction of the substance abusing family. It observes that the effect of the presence of alcohol or substances on its member, finding family and environment patterns that predispose children for alcoholism and other substance abuse to enable counselors to prevent these conditions in children considered to be at risk. Last, instructional family patterns can be shaped through family therapy and parent training with more nurturing and functional parenting. Children in such families have a better chance of becoming well-rounded, resilient adults. Thank you. This is Morella Theta in Juja, Kiambu, Kenya, Africa, East Africa, in Africa. Oh, I request the all the YouTubers to subscribe, to like, and to comment onto my video so that I can go on with giving training and educating people. Thanks. I will be with you soon.